It looks like I haven't started Classic Series, but I did just start a race and then quit out. I'm trying to record a video and I'm losing my train of thought because it's 4 a.m. I got up, I don't know why I got up. I think there was some noise that woke me up, as it always is. And then I had this urge to do the Murcielago car hunt. And then after the car hunt, I thought I'll do a gas tank on the Hennessy Venom in multiplayer 2. And now I'm kind of not capable of sleep again. Anyway, I'll do some races on Classic multiplayer. Let's get to Gold League. I keep thinking about things people say as I'm walking past on the street and questions people ask me. There's some funny things that people have been asking recently, or I've heard people say, and I think I should start writing it all down or listing it for use in collating them in a video. I think that the main thought to write them down started when I walked past two street drinkers a few weeks ago, and one of them was trying to comfort the other, and he turns to him and he goes, "You know, David was small, right? And Goliath was big, and who won?" And that was meant to somehow, it really interested me, that comment. If you think about it, it's quite interesting. So he's telling his friend, David and Goliath, David was small, Goliath was massive, but David overcame all the obstacles and won. And I remember learning David and Goliath when I was a kid. I did religious studies at school, and we were sort of taught how to be Christian, but told we weren't, told we're not necessarily one, but we're still going to teach you what it means to be a Christian, and pretend it's a educational class about information and facts, but it's actually just trying to brainwash you to be a Christian. Anyway, the David and Goliath story I took as something to build your confidence, to make you feel like, as a kid, you see the story as kind of uplifting, that you can succeed or overcome obstacles, and that's how it's presented to you. But when you see two street drinkers chatting on a park bench, and one of them comforting the other in his failure and telling him everything's going to be okay because David eventually beat Goliath, just made me think how much of a reverse effect that story actually has on a population, other than giving them confidence. It's like the National Lottery. It just makes you sit there thinking something will happen while you're living in failure. It's a indoctrination story to make you think you can overcome these massive, like, if the government are kicking you down, you'll be able to beat them because you're Dave. It's ridiculous. And it just clicked when I saw these two street drinkers saying it to each other and using it as a means to pat themselves on the back that everything will be okay. That was funny. It's also funny when someone points at a seagull and says it's an albatross. I've had someone also ask me if a stork, which is a bird. I've had someone turn to me and ask me if it's flamingo. I keep getting obsessive about correcting people in parks when they call dandelions sunflowers, or when they tell their children that a dandelion is a sunflower. I start to feel sorry for these children, that their parents are going around telling them that this is one thing when it's not, it's something else. I'm going to start writing them all down. I was the other walking past someone yesterday, hearing just that one line on the phone, and you think, what's the rest of the conversation like? And I just say, this is when they realised what it means to borrow money. She's like, oh, well, that doesn't really work because it'll mean I have to pay back more than I have. I'm very averse to borrowing money. My father worked for Enron when it fell apart, and he worked for Lehman Brothers. And so he's been pretty unfortunate with things like stocks and credit since those massive events. He lived in Texas and Houston working for Enron when Enron went bust. I had cycled with the Enron cycling team across Texas. It was one of the biggest cycling teams in the world, the Enron team. And then poof, overnight, gone. I loved Texas. Houston was one of the most, beautiful, clean, big, spacious, pleasant cities I've ever been to in my life. And the people were friendly, except the police that kept doing sort of peel out U-turns on Westheimer and pulling me over for being outside in daylight. So I think I could be arrested for being outside in daylight when I was a child because you were meant to be at school. And then at night I could be arrested for being out at night because there was a curfew for everyone under 25 to go home at either 11 p.m. or midnight. I remember being in an arcade, Dave and Buster's, and a bell goes in the place, like the last orders bell, but it just means everyone under 25 has to leave. Everyone else is allowed to stay. But if you're under 25, you have to go home because there's a curfew. This is before COVID. This is year 19... I can't remember what year. Between 98 and 2003. And my father lived in Hong Kong from about 1993 to 1998. Then went to Houston, then to Boston, then back to Hong Kong. Each for a few years, and then stayed in Hong Kong for a decade after that. Hong Kong in the 90s as a kid, I was 13, 12 when I first went to Hong Kong, maybe 11 or 12. And I went on my own because my mother's working and my brother didn't want to go and blah blah blah, and I'd just go to see my dad there. And I'd walk around the streets of Hong Kong as this little kid, and everyone's sort of just bowing and opening doors to you because you're even though the white people in England don't think I'm white, all the people in Asia think I'm white, so they're walking around seeing this little white boy and just opening doors for me, asking if I need anything. It's a very weird experience. Given how much I'm ignored in England, it was very weird. But I loved it. We even lived in a hotel for a year in the Shangri-La, which is one of the nicest hotels in the country. And Lehman Brothers just put us in the hotel room for an entire year because it was close to the office. The year before that, we were in the Lehman Brothers company flat, and it was this sort of penthouse two-story apartment on the 22nd and 23rd floor on the top of Hong Kong Hill at Tin Hau, or Fortress Hill. You could see over the entire bay. It was the most spectacular apartment I've ever stayed in my life. I think it was $10,000 a month, the rent there, in the 90s. That was the expat banker scene back then. And the final year we were in Hong Kong, we lived in Discovery Bay. And I think now they've connected it up by road, but when I lived there, the only way to get to Discovery Bay was by boat. So it was a closed bay, there were no roads in and out of the bay. It's on Lantau Island, and you had to get a boat from Hong Kong Island to Lantau and then walk to your house from the port because there were no cars there. There were a couple of, there were roads, but there were no private cars on them. There might have been a bus, like a small shuttle bus. I think towards the point when I was leaving is when they built Disneyland at Discovery Bay. So it would have turned from some peaceful bay to one that has fireworks every single night. Hello. Whoa. I'm gonna have to switch to tilt on the barrel roll. Whoa. I tried to get more air off the second lump, but this car just didn't want to do it. I was sad when we left Hong Kong to go to America. Hong Kong was more exciting to me. It was so different. I got paid yesterday. Such an amazing feeling. I've been self-employed for 4.5 years, and now yesterday I got what's called a PAYE pay slip, so I'm full-time employed. It's taxes taken off it automatically rather than me having to pay tax at the end of the year. It's a satisfying process. You know you're getting another one next month so long as you keep doing your job. It's exciting. It's been a long time since I had a regular paycheck. I couldn't get him. I would have, if I had shockwave, I would have just hit the back of him really. What's the word? Get out of the way. That's not fair. He was ghosting. Lee, that's got to be witnessed. You all saw what happened. That's what this connection stuff does to the game. It's such a shame. And now he's just got someone else in it, probably the same way. They do proper one. Get third back, please. Thank you. Groovy one. Don't deserve it. And you've got a green bar, yet you're ghosting everywhere. Can't be bothered to watch the replay. Oh, Gold League. Tokens. I'm keeping going for a bit. I need one more token for a palindrome. Right, I'm going to use the GP card. I've only got one fuel for it anyway. I'm going to use my one gas up on the EP car. Alright, I'm starting to get sleepy again now. I might manage to go back to sleep. I don't like that wall there. The way it always wants to... You have to drift very early to avoid hitting that wall. I've got a dead leg as well. I sit cross-legged all the time. And I remember asking a physio about it 10 years ago. Is there a problem if you sit cross-legged? Will you mess your knees up? She's like, nah, it's going to be fine. She's 22. She hasn't got a clue. She studied physio. She does. Yes, of course it's a problem. My legs hurt a lot because I sit cross-legged. I've made my foot go numb. And if you look at my foot, I've got calluses all over my foot where it's been on a hard floor, like crushed into the hard floor where it's under my knee. Oh, I know you never realise until it's too late. My mother used to say this thing to me, which was, if you don't make funny faces, because if the wind changes, you'll get stuck with it. That's one of the few things, as well as threatening to put me in the shed. That was one of the only things I can remember her saying, which is don't pull funny faces, because if the wind changes, you'll get stuck with that face. And that just makes no sense. Like, it's like, is there some magic power that when the wind changes it resets my attitude? But there's a valid point to that stupid sentence, which is, if you keep doing something, you'll deform yourself. So if you squint your face all the time, then you'll get wrinkles. Like, it's that simple. But my mother had to say it in these riddles all the time. People always spoke in these riddles, and I didn't understand because I don't know. What is it? Not understanding nonsense. It's just, it didn't make any sense. Someone had just said to me, explain that sentence rather than repeat that nonsense all my life, then a lot of my body would still work. Because it took me a long time to work that out. Like, I thought I was immortal. Everyone thinks you're immortal. Then 35 comes, and things stop working. Your legs, your arms, your brain. Right, watch this guy on the left. He's a threat. Okay. I do need a drink now. Some things that were obvious to people weren't obvious to me. I remember looking at maps when I was a kid and I couldn't understand what was the sea and what was the land. Why was land green? Most of it's grey and brown. I didn't understand why it was coloured in green. And then even when the sea was blue and it's coloured in blue, it just didn't make sense to me. Like codes on maps and keys and... I saw this sign once on a car, driving along in a car. My dad's driving, I must have been 4 years old maybe, and it's again one of these few memories I have, and there was this sign that said ONO, like £2,500, car for sale, £2,500, ONO. And I was like, Dad, what does ONO mean? And he's like, it means over, not under. And I was like, but that's ONU. And he's like, oh, it doesn't have to use the letters, an abbreviation doesn't have to use the letters for the words that it means. And I was like, really? And then end up going to school, and weeks later and someone says an abbreviation and I have to ask the teacher what it means, and I keep asking, What is it? Does it represent the letters? And I can't explain this, but for years I looked like an idiot because I never understood abbreviations because I didn't expect them to use the same letters. I got left behind then. Hi, Pashanda. And my dad was just being a smart ass. He was trying to tell me that it means or near offer. And he was trying to tell me that the person writing the sign wants more than he's written. But that's not even true anyway. Or near offer means he hopes he gets $2,500 and he'll take whatever he's offered. Just don't insult him. But my dad, when you ask what it means, my dad was being complex, and I was 4. I was a little kid. Just tell me what the letters mean. Don't turn everything into riddles and trick me and confuse me and then laugh at me and cause everyone else to laugh at me because I don't know what. Sorry, I went into a rant then. I nearly gave you a little too much detail about my childhood. I was beaten a lot. I think I'm autistic, and they didn't define it back then. You just got told you were a difficult child. And then I had my parents tricking me and talking to me in riddles all the time, and I hadn't got a clue what they were talking about. They never explained anything, just beat me for everything, every thought I ever had, And then my school did the same thing, beat me for everything. Excluded me from every class, sent me out of every class, made me look through the window, made me wear dunce cap. Smartest guy in the school had to wear dunce cap because I couldn't behave properly. And then I got put into the second set for everything, but for swearing too much, even though the swear word I got suspended from school for saying was condom, which isn't even a swear word. And I got suspended because I wouldn't admit that I said it, but I was asked to list all the swear words I said. I'll take him out. In an English class, the teacher got really angry with me. I was, 12 years old, 11 or 12. And he said, start screaming at me, write down all the swear words that you said this class. And so I just start writing down words that I think I've said. And he's just screaming at me harder and harder. You haven't written it down. You haven't written it down. And I was like, well, what would you like me to write? And I just start asking him all the swear words I know. Was it that one? Was it that one? Would you like me to write that one down? And obviously now I'm being a smart ass, but I had no idea what he was talking about. And the word, after 20 minutes of being screamed at and writing down every swear word I could think of, I get sent to the headmaster and told that the word that I wouldn't write down was condom, and then got suspended from school and got put in the second set for every class for the rest of the school year. I had to... My set studied ancient Greek. The second set studied Spanish. And I had to study ancient Greek on my own after that, in the back of the room when they were doing Spanish. Oh, and I had to open the door every morning and evening for all of the people that tried to come in the school. So I had to stand there as a doorman for 30 minutes in the morning, I think, and 30 minutes in the evening for 2 weeks, opening the door to people as a sign of humility, to embarrass me, to humiliate me. And then after that school, I got sent to military school because my primary school, suggested to my parents that I needed even more discipline. Because them beating me all the time didn't manage to get me in shape. You need to send me to military school. Sod them. Why did I blow up then? I went too high. I got angry. Did a KD when I shouldn't have done one. Well, I should have done that one, but I should have taken control on the barrel. And my phone's overheating now. We're at 25 minutes. single recording in 1080p, it's going to be like 7-8 gig, 6 gig, the working file. Rather than tell you about how my prep school systematically beat me and manipulated me to make me believe my parents were complicit in it, I'll just try and drive this race. I'm faster through there with that path, you see. People question that path, but see how good it was. I like that his name's Knockdown Magnet. Good luck, guys. I'm madder than you.